morning, everyone. Almost actually afternoon. Welcome to Talking Horses. Greg Wolf and Andy Sterling. It's good to be back.
It is. Yeah, fired up to go for another week.
Yeah, no, looking forward to the weekend. Obviously, some stake races throughout the week. I thought the Toboggan came up a very fun race, and there's a lot of interesting Triple Crown races out of town, as there pretty much is every weekend this time of the year. And we also have the Withers coming up on Saturday. We'll talk more about that. We have a show from 2 to 5 today. You need to head to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, use the promo code bonus200. We'll match $200 initial deposit. We have a Track Stats. Check out Track Stats. And as mentioned, 2 to 5 today on FS2, covering all the action from Aqueduct. Don't call it cancel if anybody's wondering why we're not showing them. They moved that card to Monday. I haven't seen you, so any Pegasus Day thoughts? White Abarrio, I didn't see it, but I missed it. But he obviously just
incredible.
destroyed
I said it before. I mean, they found the time machine with this horse. Like we're back in the end of 2023. Cool for Saffie Joseph Jr. that he had the horse taken away, and gets him back, and then puts in that kind of performance. So cool for that barn. But it's great to all these great 3-year-olds coming back now as 4-year-olds, and good to have a good older horse who.
I don't
adds
know
more intrigue to the division.
But can you trust him from one race to the next?
We'll see.
I mean, I hope you can, but I wonder a little bit. And obviously, the turf race was a Grade 3 race. Masquerade is a Grade 1. It's very hard to run a Grade 1 on the turf at this time of the year, especially considering the quality of the turf. But it was a fun race. And the New York bred won. How could you not be happy seeing a New York bred win?
Who I've touted.
You love that horse.
But, although, I got to say, I think one of his rare losses was the time that I singled him in a pick 5 as well.
And you're still not bitter about this?
No, he is one. I think he's such a cool horse. He's one of my favorites.
No, he got a great ride from Tyler Gaffalione as well to win the race. All right, we've got 8 to talk about here. There's some scratches throughout the day. I don't think any major contenders came out of races. For my picks, nobody. Well, you wanted to bet the 5 here.
Yeah.
We both end up on the 6. And for me, Greg, I ultimately decided I don't want to guess with a bunch of firsters I know nothing about. Am I going to be surprised when the 6 loses to 1, 2, or 3 of the firsters? Absolutely not, because he's not that good. But I don't know anything about these firsters, and any pick I made was an out-and-out guess.
Totally agree with you, and you know how I feel anyway. I mean, just general rule, always take a horse with experience going around a ground as opposed to a first-time starter, because it's just very hard to do. And these barns here don't excel with horses going long first time out anyway. At least with Lady Wisdom, even though these have been fairly slow races, it's been minor, gradual, going the right way forward progression. And now we'll get Lasix. So it's somewhat of a positive against this field.
I mean, the only one of the firsters that has pedigree is the 4 Farmhouse, and Instagram is off to a decent start. It's hard to know how he's going to be as a stallion after a limited number of starters. The horse is a half. She's a half to Bank Frenzy. She's also a half to a couple horses didn't do any running. So, yeah, Bank Frenzy's in there, but the rest of the pedigree isn't that much, right?
Yeah. But at least, with Bank Frenzy, he was a 6-time winner. 5 of them, or 4 of them, I should say, were at a mile. One was at a mile and an eighth. So at least that horse could route, too. And I will say, you look at the purchase price. Instagram stands for 8. Horse had to look okay to go for 100. So there's some positives. We'll see. As you said, though, you don't have to be a whole lot probably to beat the 6.
I agree.
But I'd rather take the experience.
And then, like you said, it's a mile first-time starter. So I was going to pick one of the Linda horses, and I thought, the 4 is probably going to be a short price. Do I really need to pick this horse at a short price on the guess because the horse is a half to Bank Frenzy? I didn't want to do it. Will I be shocked when he wins like you? No, not at all, but I didn't want to pick on the firsters. Race number 2. Well, we lost a couple players here. Now, one thing I'd say is neither of them had speed, and both of them felt like they were outliers in here. So, well, you don't like to see 6 scratch down to 4. It is what it is. At the end of the day, let's start out with Forward Move, who is unquestionably the horse to beat. And if he runs back to this race 2 back or his race 3 back, he's probably 3 to 5, if not less, to win this race. My problem is he's going to be a short price again. And could you make an excuse for his last race? Because I could not.
No, his last race was terrible. But I'm willing to forgive that. And the good version of this horse, which he's been somewhat, 2, 3, 4 starts back, he's been the good version of himself. This is what I like about him. He waits a little while, and then mid to late stretch, he finds that next gear. And there's 3 horses in here that are still in the race that I think will provide some pace. The 2, the 5, the 6 can all be forward. So we'll see where he can at least might get a good setup in this race.
But I don't want to rely on a horse getting pace that's going to be even money that ran like garbage last time out. That's my problem. And I was going to pick him in here, and the more I looked, I thought, I could never bet this horse at a short price. And I don't disagree with anything you said. If he runs his race, he's going to win this race. It's not even close. But I just don't like his last race. That bothers me a little bit. Now, to be fair, Linda Rice doesn't drop the horse down after that race, so maybe there was some situation with him. And he was coming back on 13 days, reasonably rest. So maybe he was sick because he's now been out close to 2 months. So maybe there was a minor issue that happened last time. Nevertheless, didn't like it. Now, I know Stewie is probably the right one of the speeds, but I don't love him. He's got one fig. He's a little bit of that one number with that race 2 back.
Yeah.
And I thought October 4th was a day you probably wanted to be inside speed. So I wondered about that a little. Now, Courageous Ola. The stumbled break is meaningless last time. I'm sure you watched it. I know you watched these races. He kind of bobbled a little bit, but he bobbled forward. It didn't take him out of the race. He's fast. And I thought he'd be stalking the number 6. And I don't trust the 1. And as we show Warolo, who you have second, who obviously can win based on this race and other races he's run, I've had a stat for Chris Englehart. 6 to 12 month layoffs in dirt sprints at Naira. He's 0 for 17 with 3 hitting the board. Now, his numbers out of town are actually pretty good. Out of town, he's 19 for 74. But at Naira, the horses he's brought back off these layoffs, they've not only never won, they're almost never hitting the board.
Yeah.
That bothered me a little with Rollo, who obviously can win.
He's interesting just because he has won off a long layoff before at Finger Lakes, but he's done it, and he's got some races that drown this field, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, no, listen, if you knew everybody in the race was going to run their best race, he probably would beat the 1, and they would be the only 2 in the race, and at the end of the day, maybe they are the only 2 in the race. I don't know. I don't want to take him off a long layoff. He's 9 to 5 morning line. I don't know. It just all gave me a bad taste. I don't love Courageous Ola, and I know she's never won in New York. But you know what? He's run some decent races at times, and I thought he could be speed, and I didn't trust the other 2, and he'd be a price. So it's just a case of that, taking somebody different.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's reasonable to have some reservations about the 1 and 5. Is that fair?
There's reservations about everyone in here.
Right.
Yeah, there's no question.
So race number 3. Toned Up's got that second place finish, which we'll show last time. The problem with the second place finish is it was almost a match race, and I know the winner paid $250 or something.
Well, it's a 3-horse field.
I know,
Yeah,
and Toned Up doesn't have any speed. With the 1 coming out, there's probably even less speed in the race. I scratched in him for second, but I ain't a big fan. I used to be a big fan of this horse. I'm kind of tired of him. But I will say, doesn't it seem like Ilke Gantarmachi's horses are really running well?
Yeah, they actually are, which we love to see. We're as you said, we say it a lot. We're both fans of this outfit, the brothers. And it was a bit of a wake up. It's not like it came out of nowhere. It's getting back to comparable figures. This horse has run at good levels, but 8-year-old mare. Do I expect her to
Hasn't
run that race
time.
again against a fuller field? That, as you said, it was kind of a gimmicky race with just 3 running. I don't trust it.
Talk to me about Kiss Me Hardy.
So Kiss Me Hardy has several races. If you go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 races back, all of those races are as good as anybody in here. I do think our Liberty Bell is much the horse to beat off the 2 route races the last time she's routed. But Kiss Me Hardy has several races to go back to. Last time out, that was a monster she was facing. Irish Maxima ran a 101 buyer in that stakes race.
In the mud.
Yeah.
Also, the mud was an excuse for her a little bit being in a muddy seal track.
She's 6 for 9 overall. She's won 4 of her last 5. I'm going to forgive her that performance. And even confirmed Star ran second, who had beat her the race before, who she was close to, is 12 for 17, first or second overall in her career. She's multiple stakes placed for Butch Reed. So I think she's very good as well. And usually, Kiss Me Hardy's very competitive. She can be somewhat close. And I like that it's 3rd off the bench today. Will be back on Lasix, and I think she's going to get way easier company than what she had to deal with last start.
I'm not going to argue with any of it. I saw all of it. I ended up not picking her, but I do understand there's absolutely a strong argument for her. I'm not going to knock her because I do have problems in this race with our Liberty Bell. She's claimed away from Jamie Ness. horses claimed for him don't. To be fair, they do okay. It's not like they have horrendous
That's
numbers.
why I stayed away.
But I don't know, man. And a horse that comes here for JB Ness doesn't run particularly well at a relatively short price. I kind of wonder how much I'm supposed to trust this. As much respect as I have for Linda and the obvious job that she does, I was surprised she claimed this horse from JB Ness. It bothers me a little bit. And as far as Patty Case is concerned, obviously she was horrifically bad last time out. There's no question about it. But she's got races going back. Now, the argument against her is similar to the argument I had here with Linda Rice, right? He claimed the horse from Jamie Ness, got a couple of decent races, and then the horse fell apart. Something went wrong with this horse.
Yeah.
Came back and didn't run well. He's not dropping the horse off a cliff. He's running for the same price that he claimed her. I want to give her one more chance because she's got plenty of races that could beat this field.
Several races. Yeah, I mean, 3,
Albeit
4,
for
5.
Jamie Ness.
Yeah, but she's incredibly interesting, and I forgive that start coming back off that long time away. She's better than what she
That
showed
was an
there.
impossible spot, relatively speaking. That race has come back a live race. Horses have run out of it. I wanted to give it another chance. I'm going to be honest. I didn't like my feeling in here was I don't trust Our Liberty Bell. After that, I'm just going to pick somebody. You took the 4, I took the 5.
Interesting race, though. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a race where, once again, these are we know the races are smaller fields. We understand all those things, but there's a lot of places you can go in here.
Yeah.
A lot of
agree.
decisions to make, and I thought race number 4, and we'll take a break afterwards, is a virtually impossible race. You've got these 2 Rick Dutrow horses. I went to the 3 again, but I have no confidence at all with this horse, a horse that has no speed, and he didn't improve for Rick. One thing I do feel, I feel like he runs well at 1 1/8, and I wondered about that with some of the others.
Yeah, that was a bit of my reservation because I do think both these Dutrow runners, they have a very big shot, 2 and 3 in here. But ultimately, I went to taking a shot with Brownstone Stop because I feel like at 1 1/8, that's where he's run probably 2 of the best races he's ever run, including last time out. And that was a slow pace that he was trying to chase last time at that 1 1/8 distance. And you look at when he came back. So he was off from May of last year till November of this most recent year. 5.5 months away. Then he caught a wet track a couple of times. He had 2 incredibly slow comeback races, but where he ran the same figure and kind of paired up races and then took this big jump forward last start. So I feel like he's getting back to it. And it's not races that were out of this world for him. It's races he's run before. And I feel like he's kind of just getting back to that now, being at a distance where he's been his best. I think we're going to see him improve off that effort. And he does have a little bit of at least tactical speed for this trip because there's some slow
He
horses
won't be that
in
far
here.
out of it. No, there's really
And
no pace here.
Being on the inside at this configuration, he can save some ground early and not be compromised outside.
I didn't like him. I didn't think his last race was good enough to beat these, but there's nobody in here in particularly good form, including D-Day Sky. We'll take a look at the race 2 back. And yeah, if he can run back to this race 2 back, I think he's probably going to win here. The problem is what happened last time. He was awful last time. And he's another horse that's going to be a short price that's coming this race on bad races. Now, the one thing I'll say is in the winter, you probably need to be a little more forgiving than you are. They're lower level horses. The weather's not good. Sometimes training gets interrupted. So, I mean, one of the things that makes it hard playing in the winter is there is less consistency than there is during the rest of the year. Having said that, do I need to bet horses at short prices that are coming off inexplicable bad races at short prices? And the other thing is he's coming back in 4 weeks off in his last race. It's not like he came back in 5 days or 10 days. He had plenty of time between it, and he basically stunk.
But, yeah, I mean, the race 2 back makes him the horse to beat, no question.
What about First Trumpets win 2 back, going 7
He's-
furlongs? Is
he's
he
a danger.
impossible here? He ran well at 1 1/8, 2 back, and he's going to be forward as well. I don't think he's impossible.
He's probably alone in the lead, isn't he?
Well, he is, though I have to imagine the Savachi is going to be chalking him with D-Day Sky from the outside.
I think the 5's dangerous in this spot, and he's going to be a price. And the fact that, it wasn't the quickest race in the world, but he did run okay at 1 1/8, and I think he can get loose. We'll see.
I don't.
I know I have him 4th, but
No, I don't. At this point, I haven't made a single pick that I have a particularly strong opinion on.
No, I haven't, yeah.
I think these races are somewhat open. I think you're supposed to keep an open mind. See if a horse gets a little bit lost. I'll bet the ones that are the bigger prices. We'll take a break. Greg and I'll be back in just a moment. 40-1 in the first at Parks. Should have had that. How'd you miss that?
I did Capitan George, yeah.
I really like
with Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
We're back, Greg and Andy. Race number 5. I'm curious what you're doing in here. And there's obviously a horse in race number 5, and I'm going to show Rock. And wow, you're really against him here. We're going to show Rock's maiden win, 3 back. He is the speed in here. It's kind of a weird one. I think he's fast in the 2. With the 1A, I figured would come out. He's the speed. He ran fine last, or she did, excuse me. I don't know about that comment, traffic turn. I don't know. I thought that Katie was in a tough spot, and she decided to rate the horse, and she had good position. I don't think the horse had traffic on the turn. I just thought the horse was sort of behind. I mean, yeah, the horse was in traffic, but I don't think it was the horse was like trying to make a move and was stymied behind horses. Having said that, I'm still not sure the race that she ran last time isn't good enough to win this race. So I do think she's the horse to beat. But I thought that she'd be really overbet with that traffic turn, and she stake-faced in her last 2. And I didn't think it was as simple as she's just better than these horses.
I think even going 2 back, anyone who faced with the Angels is going to be way over bet if they were within striking range. And you look at all the races she's run, and yes, she's quick, she's speed, she's inside.
Run well. I'm not knocking her.
She's not run that fast, though. It's not like she has the fastest race I feel like anyone's running here, and it was a wet track, so it's tough to gauge. Probably Double Arrow in that muddy sealed track at Laurel in the dirt debut. Del Rey, for me, I wound up going to this one because she's put up back-to-back efforts where she has run, actually, thoroughgraph-wise, just a touch faster than the best race Rock has ever run. And I feel like she doesn't have to have the lead. She gets the cozy outside post in here. She actually can't sit and stalk. Her last race, to me, though, was a little weird. I know Chris Griffin said that she hit the rail. I looked at it. I don't know if she hit the rail or not, but she took a weird step, and it looked like she hit the rail the way she moved. She certainly swerved a little bit.
She might have shied away from it without necessarily hitting it.
Yeah.
And my worry with her is that she's got to, okay, you say she can stalk, that's fine, but she's got to deal with the 1, put that one away, and then hold off any potential closers. And I wonder if that's sort of a tricky position. Now, it's funny. The Timeform Pace Projector has her absolutely nowhere near the lead. Isn't
really?
that weird?
Yes.
The Timeform Pace Projector has Rosie Rue as the other speed and has her actually 5th early. Now, I have a little trouble seeing that, but obviously they feel she's coming out of very slow paces. I mean, that's why they feel that way. It's a little hard to understand. I'm going to be curious to see how it's run because the Pace Projector has a lot farther back, and David Argona is probably texting me to explain to me why that is, but I left my phone in my office. So there's other things going on here, like this horse, Central Casting, who I considered picking. You know what the weird thing about Central Casting is? And I looked last night, and I don't believe that there's something misprinted. This horse was owned by the 2 people that are listed as the owners in the past and Rudy Rodriguez. And it's switching to Jamie Ness from Rudy. So did the owners buy Rudy out and switch the horse to Ness? Was there some kind of argument? Was there, I've never seen, isn't that a weird thing that the trainer was part owner and now the trainer's no longer an owner? And
no one's going to argue with Rudy. Come on.
I'm not saying it's Rudy's fault. Listen, one of the jobs of trainers is to take some heat for owners at times. And I don't know anything here. I'm talking about it for me as a handicapper. I'm not making judgments, and I'm not. Who knows? But isn't that strange that a trainer who wins would be part owners with 2 other owners, and that person would be bought out and it would go to a different trainer? Now, I don't know what it means, and it is switching to Ness. Ness has sensational numbers, trainer switches in Naira and in general in routes, and not good numbers in sprints. Maybe it's random, but I noticed it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with them.
I just think a little too slow at this point. But yeah, I mean,
Well, Jamie Ness been known to make them a little bit faster.
yeah, no question. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, several of these could step. 3-year-old fillies to me,
They're not the most reliable
not
bunch,
at all.
and they can all
can
jump
take
forward.
big leaps forward, and they can go completely backwards. I don't know what to do really in this race.
Well, you obviously don't dislike the horse that I picked second here. My feeling, or I took on top, you picked second, Double Arrow is, number one, the horse has never been on a dry track. Now, hey, maybe the horse loves a wet track and can't run. Also, Robbie Bales. Robbie Bales is a trainer that years ago used to ship horses and do well here. Since I've been at NYRA, he's probably shipped a smattering of horses, and they just haven't run at all. But he shipped that horse, he's in the PPs somewhere here, that came here and ran a good second, had a win. And I'm thinking now he's starting to ship horses again, and one of them ran really well. And this horse is race 2 back from a figure standpoint, is certainly fast enough to compete. And last time out, this was in a tough spot at 3 to 5. I don't want to hold that race that much against at 7. And I thought the Double Arrow would get completely lost to the betting, whether it's the first time Ness, whether it's Del Rey, and I thought it'd be a price and was a little interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I can get a great stalking trip in this spot. And as I said, thoroughgraph-wise, that race, even though it was a different kind of racetrack, it was the fastest by far anyone's run in this group.
Yeah, I thought that horse was interesting. I thought this was a good race. I like this race.
And as you said, what if there is a chance this horse is even better on a fast dry
Well, that's
track?
the point,
Yeah.
right. Maybe the horse wants a dry track.
Yeah.
And they don't usually get better on wet tracks, though I suppose it's really possible. Is it me? I'm really distracted by the in-house feed
Yeah,
down
I
there.
just saw
They keep
that,
showing
yeah.
those replays. I keep thinking there are replays on ours.
I do
We
too.
have multiple TVs this set. Well, Greg and I did not have the 40-1 winner in the first race at Parks, if anybody's interested. Race number 6, which I'm very curious if you have any interest in the horse that I picked. You obviously do have them or somewhere in here. I thought this was such a hard race, and we'll start with Elliptic. And once again, we'll take a look at the race 2 back. The problem is she ran poorly last time. Not terribly, but not as well as she had run. And I think she's way the horse to beat, but I think she's going to be a short price. And I kind of wonder if her run is up. You know what I mean?
This is the win 2 back, and she was dominant here. The race
I picked her
last-
second. I'm not
Yeah.
against her. I'm just...
Hey, look, she's going to be a very short price. I kind of forgive her for that race last time out. I took a different look at it because she found herself sort of head-in-head on the front end with Malou, who was 6 to 5 in there. She doesn't usually, and because it was a slow early pace, she found herself in that position on the front end.
It's
She's
also
more
a much
comfortable-
tougher field than this last time.
No question, yeah. And she just seems like she's a more comfortable runner because she can sit and stalk, which I think she'll be able to do this afternoon. Kendrick was aboard that day. He's a regular pilot. He knows full well what happened last time out, and he's not going to get her involved in another pace duel up front this time.
Well, I think the problem was that they rated Malou so heavily early on the lead that it just brought the whole field together. And I think Kendrick found him in a spot he probably didn't love being in, but because the early pace, especially the first quarter, was so slow, there was nothing he could really do. So I think the race dynamics kind of put him in a position in one of those situations. Not that you were being critical of Kendrick
Not at
in
all,
there.
no.
I also, it's interesting. Maggie T is the speed in this race. And we'll take a look at her race 2 back where she finished out of My First Love. And I was kind of looking at her a little bit early and thought she had a chance. And it's 7, but she's run okay at 7 before. Obviously, I hated her race off the claim, and that bothered me a little bit. There was a little moisture in the track, and maybe she didn't appreciate that. But isn't Mozienko supposed to be aggressively ridden in here?
Yes.
And supposed to push her a little bit early?
Yes, I put Mozienko second in here, but yes, got to be forward with that horse.
I wonder if
They're gonna
Mozienko's
go.
kind of lost it a little bit.
You think?
I just feel like her form is dissipating. I don't know. And I hate entries, so I'm never going to pick them anyway. I don't think they're both impossible. I mean, Gone and Forgotten ran well 2 races back. I thought he'd probably only run Mozienko in here. I just feel like this horse, once she got claimed away from Dennis Lauman, her form is mostly sort of falling apart. Much as I love her.
I actually thought, they came out, but I thought both the 5 and the 7 as huge long shots had
Well,
potential to show up, but they're gone, obviously, and I think now Olympics can be very tough.
I have no problem, and my biggest exacta by far will be a 4-2, but I'm betting Carapara in here.
Okay.
I don't know that she can still run, but she's taking a significant drop off her last race. And she was 23 to 1 last time. So the fact that she didn't run very well
And
isn't
off
that
a
big
long
a surprise.
time away.
And she's coming back off of an 8-month layoff. So she has got, when I started looking at her more, I realized she's got races that absolutely fit in this race. My worry that she doesn't have much speed, and I don't know how strong the pace is really going to be. But I'm not going to split hairs on that on a horse that's going to be 6 to 10 to 1, somewhere in that range. And I thought, she's got nothing sexy about her at all. She's not going to take it. She doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a trainer that wins
Yeah.
high percentage, though I'm more than happy to bet any horse that Jimmy Ryerson trains. It's just nothing about her is going to attract money in the races she's run, and her last race was bad. Maybe she's gone the wrong way and Jimmy's dropping her, but I don't know. I kind of want to give her one more chance to show that she can't run some of those faster numbers.
No, I saw the things you did. I mean, that race last time out, I'm not that concerned with it. It was a long time away. It was against better. Drop has that comeback race at least to get behind her. And there's some very good efforts, but again, yes, could be certainly pace compromised in here.
Yeah.
And I know Elliptics, to me, Elliptics one of the stronger plays on the card.
Yeah, and I don't think she's going to be dramatically pace compromised. She's way the horse to beat. I think she'll be very tough. I just wanted to pick Carapara. But the 7th was interesting, and I'm glad to see that Excellent Timing is in here, because not a horse that either one of us likes, but I think you have to argue that he is the key to this race, because he is the speed of the speed. And I think he puts other speed types in a position where they could be in a little bit of trouble. Now, I think that Grey Wing, we'll take a look at his last race, is the one who comes into the race in the best form as far as his finishes. The problem I have is he really as good as these horses? And he looks like he's dropping, but he's not dropping. He's actually running against much tougher.
Yeah, I think he's just going to get way over bet. And you could say, oh, yeah, you just want a state bred A other than. I'm with you. It was a slow state bred A other than that he's got to move forward to contend against several in this group.
I agree. And I looked a lot at Seas Get Degrees, who I thought could be dangerous in here, but he's got to force things from down on the inside. He's outrun. I felt similarly about Poppy's Pride, who I didn't think was impossible in here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Dangerous Ride.
So I like the fact it's third off the bench from this horse. We'll get blinkers to try and get this horse involved a little bit more and can be involved early in this spot. And that last race, this horse does not contend whatsoever. But 2, 3,
This last
4,
bothered
5,
me a little bit.
all
Two
start-
back is good.
Yeah, I mean, those are all races that I think everyone's going to be in a tough spot to try and beat him in this spot. And I feel like third off the bench, he's going to be in a very good form. And if he can repeat the race 2 back, I almost feel like unless Excellent Timing has a throwback effort to last summer, no one can beat him in here.
Yeah, I didn't like him, to be honest. I didn't trust his last race at all coming back
It was bad.
11 days later. But I understand the argument for him. I'm not wildly against anybody in this race, to be honest with you. But I started looking at Dots Dollar more and more, and he comes out of the Garuvan race, and I want to say something related to the Garuvan race about the one Seas Get Degrees. And Dots Dollar was part of the pace that fell apart in that race. They were significantly better horses. I look at the last race back in November when the horse was a little bit wide. I don't think the horse ran that badly. It was off a little bit of a layoff. And the thing I like about him is I think he can rate. And there's going to be pace in this race. And of all the horses in here, he was the one I was most comfortable with betting rating in this race. That can be a little bit forward, but I thought he could sit off the pace a little bit. And I thought after last time he would have to do that. So I ended up going to him. But I don't have a super strong opinion here. What I want to say about Seas Get Degrees, the trainer, look at Grooven in the next race. This is a trainer who I believe had been an owner now. And he started training. And, when you see that, you see a guy who buys horses, they start training.
Yeah.
They don't usually run that well. And the first horse he had didn't run that well. But then look at Seas and Degrees. Look at Garuvan's last race.
I think the most interesting horse on the card today.
I agree. If he runs his last race, he's going to win this race, and he's going to go to stake races the way he ran. And I'm kind of interested to see what this horse does, given how well Garuvan, because Garuvan had been in some pretty sharp barns
that's a good
and
point.
had run some fast figs, and he ran a huge number for this guy, and that made me look at that horse a little bit more. Now, you've got him second. I have him third. But I think they all can win these races.
I thought this was the toughest race to handicap on the entire card.
I didn't like War Stride, who I think just beat Weaker last time. And if Excellent Timing wins, I'm going to lose. He just hasn't run a good race. in
Excellent
forever.
Timing, I'm a little cool on. But honestly, no one would surprise me in here. You thought a lot higher of Dots dollar than I do. I've liked Cease DeGriso for a long time, and he does have speed to go back to, and I think we're going to see more quickness out of him today, and he's got to be quicker with that inside post. He's got to use his speed.
I agree, but excellent timing is a tough dog
Yeah.
to fight. I mean, he is truly one of the fastest horses on the grounds. He is fast, and he's been fast for a long time. So race number 8, we'll take a look at Garuvan in the last race. You put him on top, I put him third. Now, Critical Threat was part of this pace, and I thought actually ran very well in here. You know, he's a problem horse because if you judge him by that preposterous performance at Saratoga, then you're saying, well, he's fallen apart. That race to me is an outlier. I just throw it out. I thought he ran pretty well. Obviously, though, if Garuvan runs back to this race, where he did have a perfect outside post and a perfect trip, but if he runs back to this race, he's going to win. Period.
And he's, as you said, he's probably going to go to Stakes Company.
This
And
race was
to me,
gigantic.
it's insane. 99 buyer. And to me, you say, oh, where'd this race come from? It came out of nowhere. To me, not as much as
Not totally
dig
out
in
of
a little
nowhere.
deeper. Yeah, because he was gone from 3 to 4 for about 7.5 months. He actually had some races that, you know, if he had moved forward a little bit,
Still was a little hard to believe.
it's a little hard to believe, but was in the realm of where you could see it happening before he went to the bench. And then he comes back and pairs up a couple of numbers where you know, if he had ran maybe a length or two slower, I would have expected that. He ran a little bit better than that, but not where I'm saying, oh, this is crazy. How did he run this big? It was in the ballpark for him. So I don't see it as this outlier race where I'm questioning it so much. But even if that were the case, and I don't think it is, if he regresses
Well, he runs his race 2 back. First time for this trainer. He probably
2 and 3, I
be
think.
very tough in this race.
Yeah.
So I picked against him because I kind of want to see it again, but I'm not going to be in any way surprised when we do see it again.
Even the race 2 back, Run and Ray, who was the winner of that race, it's a horse who had been second to Ever So Mischievous.
How about
off a year and a half
really?
away?
I mean, if you think about it, should have been 3-year-old champ 2 years
Well,
ago.
some people on
He
our
really
show thought
should
that.
have been. You know, we haven't properly teased Jonathan enough about that.
We
but
got to get the footage of
He's not
it.
here
yeah.
this weekend, so you know I'll miss being able to tease him about that. If he was here for this horse today, then we could really have fun with him in this situation.
But yeah, so to me, Garuvan, I'm very excited to see this. I think the most interesting horse in the country running today.
He is. I'm fascinated to see what he does. I'm betting against it happening, and I'm betting on limited potential. We'll take a look at his race 2 back. I'm not going to hold running at 1 1/8 last time out, chasing Phileas Fogg, who's been in remarkable form. And his race 2 back, I thought was good enough to win here. He's going to be stalking outside, or he's going to be the speed, and I'm going with all the limited potential. I don't trust him. He could turn into a pumpkin any day, but I can certainly make an excuse for his last race, where, frankly, all things considered, I don't even think he ran that badly last
How
time.
did Phileas Fogg get beat by Curbstone last
I was
start?
watching it. We were in Florida. We were watching it, and we never thought he was going to get beat. And Tom's horse ran him down. That was crazy.
That was crazy. I think 16 to 1.
Yeah, fought
Curbstone.
everybody off and got it done. So I'm going to take him in here. Thought this was a fun race. Thought the last 2 races were closing out on a high note. And, you know, we've had some scratches, but I thought smaller fields, but they're open. I don't think maybe it's going to end up being really chalky. I'm not sure of that. I think that there are vulnerabilities to the favorites throughout the card. We'll see how it works out.
I'm
Anything
looking
else?
forward to it. No, I'm again. Yeah, I can't wait to see him. But yeah, even earlier in the card with that 3-year-old filly race, there's some really.
I agree.
Dig a little deeper into these races, and there's some very interesting storylines.
I'm looking forward to talking about him with you again when we do America's Day at the Races from 2 to 5. It's really Aqueduct Live today, you know, because it's
It
just
is,
Aqueduct.
yeah.
We should really go back and revert to Aqueduct Live. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, use the promo code bonus200. We'll match $200 of your initial deposit. Check out track stats when you're over there as well. Terrible throw on my part. And last but no way it's at least 2 to 5. Greg, Maggie, and I covering. Would be me, I think, right? Watch Greg, Maggie, and me. Are you good at that?
I'm terrible at
Andy
that.
Beyer.
I think
used to
they are
beat me up
both
horribly about that.
accepted.
No, it's you leave everybody out and say, watch me on the show. You don't say watch I on the show. So then it's Maggie, Greg, and me. See how I did, then it would be see how Greg and I did. Right? It's how you make it singular.
All right.
Thinking about it. We're done. Greg's already had enough of me. Chris Griffin, we haven't had enough of him yet. He's going to be calling the first. He'll be coming back in just a few moments with a reprise of Scratch and Changes. Have a great day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.